Hello and welcome to A Step Ahead, a special initiative by HSBC India Commercial Banking and ET Now. On this special series, we're looking at organizations that are setting a mark for themselves in their fields, that are making new benchmarks and that are going the extra mile in today's competitive marketplace. On this episode, we're looking at an organization that is taking its business beyond borders, with globalization being the key game changer. Globalization has impacted people and communities across the globe. In line with this, organizations need to work out more robust strategies and up the ante in global business. As businesses deep dive in a world of cutthroat competition, it only makes sense to stay focused, stay future ready, and stay a step ahead, providing more avenues for global yet local trade. Globalization is largely driven by digitally led transformation, and Mumbai-based WNS, a leading business process management company, is outperforming the competition by continuously staying a step ahead. WNS is a leading business process management company that combines industry knowledge with technology, analytics, and process expertise to co-create innovative, digital-led transformational solutions for organizations and businesses. With 60 offices in 14 countries, WNS has recalibrated its geographical focus to spur growth and de-risk businesses through its client-centric and client-partner model. Hi Keshav, thank you so much for talking to me. Let's backtrack. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me a little bit about the WNS history and what does WNS stand for?
WNS is a division of the former British Airways captive in India, essentially to manage their clients across the globe. And somewhere very quickly, BA realized that they were better off flying aeroplanes and handing this over to someone else to run, and that's when they sold it to Warburg Pincus. We started with sales, and then we focused a lot on strategy and good execution, and then it became work never stops. As we focused on skilling and just getting better people, involved with the business, it became much more we nurture specialists. And today, with the growth rates and the stock price that you're seeing, it's all about winning never stops.
But Keshav, what you mentioned just now about the skilling part, how is WNS bringing that about?
The business has evolved over the years dramatically, and companies that have not kept pace with that change, today, I will say, are history. I think what has been fortunate for us is that when we started our new journey, we recognized that very quickly, and we said that clients will want to interact with companies and their people who understand their business as well, if not better than them. So 9 years back itself, our focus on business domains, on training, on skilling, and creating that differentiation around the people began. And we were the first company to actually go to the market with an end-to-end vertically aligned model. And when we did that, the client sat up and took notice. It meant changing the DNA of our people. So we created domain universities. We put all our case studies in there. We made sure all our talent went through different levels of learning within those domain universities. And we have kept adding new and new modules, and at this point in time, I'm delighted to say that we run something called WNS Education. Anyone from WNS can actually access the latest in digital thinking and train themselves around artificial intelligence, machine learning, drone technology, things like that. All the things that you need to know in order to be relevant to your clients long term.
In WNS, when you're looking to expand to either a different geographical location or a different domain sector, how do you, what are the important factors that you look into before you decide to branch out?
So Sumit, the first thing we would look at is the relevance of that location to our customers and our business model. I think that's the most important. Around that, we will look to see what is the talent market out there. What's the kind of programs that the government has in those locations around, colleges, around just empowering student population. And what's the interest of the people there? Do those people like to work or do they like to own? There's a difference. There are some locations where people like to own their own businesses. We would generally avoid some of those locations. But when we look at all of this, finally it's a case of what kind of people, how many universities, what's the supply chain for people there, what kind of infrastructure is available for us, and how keen is the government in order to expand that business for themselves as well in that location.
So Keshav, globalization, it's in a way a double-edged sword. So on one end you're kind of standardizing everything around the globe, but on the other end, customization is actually required more and more. So the solution that you're providing to company A might not be the exact same thing that you're providing to company B, even though they're in the same sector. How do you ensure that this customization happens to the T, so that the client in the end gets what he or she is wanting?
In our business model, we have to keep changing the model in order to stay relevant, and more importantly for us to behave like an extension of our client's enterprise. Clients no more want a vendor, they want a strategic partner, and with all the kind of disruption they're seeing around them, they don't know who their new competition is going to be. Is it going to be the traditional competitor? Is it going to be a new startup? Is it going to be a digital attacker? And therefore, they are best served by companies like WNS who are strong on business domains, who have a true global kind of footprint, who have the best-in-class management practices, and who are all the time investing in some of the things that they ideally would need to invest in.
What about WNS's competitors? How are you differentiating your services from the competition?
We are the first company to have gone to the market with an end-to-end vertically aligned kind of go-to-market solution. And I'll tell you, it's very difficult to do. When I came in, we had 15,000 people who were all the time asking, what should I do for my customer?
Yes.
Today, we have 40,000 people who are experts in various domains and subdomain areas and understand, are working closely with the domain universities, with WNS education, external universities, number of other programs. So they are actually now driving with clients what clients should be doing, and clients love that. The fact that we are not now asking for what to do, but we're actually telling clients what they should be doing. So end-to-end vertical is one. The second big differentiator is we were the first company to actually start talking about revenues from non-FTE models, right? Look, in this business traditionally, size has been number of employees. But if you look at WNS, our growth has been in double digits, but with the implementation of a lot of technology and platforms, our growth in headcount has been 4 to 5% only, right? So last year when we grew 28%, our headcount grew only 6%. That builds solid trust with clients. And the third thing is this unique kind of footprint which is global, which clients love. So as opposed to handing over pieces of business to different vendors, today they can hand over an end-to-end business to WNS and sleep well at night knowing that we will manage it extremely well. These are all unique differentiators and is resulting in the highest growth rate from a top line.
So what's next? What's the way ahead? What's the next 5 years for WNS?
So for us, I would say the future is all about just being very relevant to our clients, making sure we are the best partner and an extension of their enterprise. It's all about making sure that we are investing more and more in the domain areas and technology areas. It's making sure that we have all the right partners available to us, ensuring that we are co-creating unique solutions for each client so that that client is able to stave away competition in the marketplace. And on an overall basis, continuously investing in new areas that will add new capability to this company, and ensuring that every one of our 40,000 people are digital ready, so to speak.
Thank you so much, Keshav, for talking to me. But we'll carry on our conversation on the other side of this short break. Thanks so much for talking to me.
Thanks so much.
Hello and welcome back to HSBC and ET Now present A Step Ahead, a very special conversation, a very special series. I was earlier talking to Keshav Murugesh, the Group CEO at WNS, and we're now joined by Rajat Verma. Hi Rajat, he's the MD and Head of Commercial Banking at HSBC India. Rajat, first question to you. You know, when we look at companies, that are Indian companies specifically, that are going global or that have gone global, in your experience, how have you seen them evolve over the years? What are some of the hurdles that they might have faced that they have overcome or that they are still facing?
Companies have had a great desire to grow overseas, to explore overseas markets. Sometimes in certain industries like pharma or IT, they really have no choice.
Yes.
But in other industries as well, we've seen a great desire for people to expand. And that tends to drive a lot of the energy because it's a really different experience working in India and working overseas in multiple countries. Some of the things that I've seen in successful experiments, perhaps the one common theme that I've seen across companies is cultural integration.
Right.
What I mean by that is that, you know, to adopt not just the culture or the ways of working in that country, but perhaps also the employees and the people. Companies who've been able to do that and have instilled a sense of psychological safety in the workforce. Look, it's different for different industries, but by and large, companies who've been successful in that have been successful in their overseas endeavors.
Okay, true.
I think the other thing, of course, is the world's a really dynamically changing place geopolitically. So, you know, you have, if you take the IT sector, Keshav, you know, is a much bigger expert than me on it. As laws and regulations change in different parts of the world, visa rules change, etc., your business models may need to change. So flexibility and understanding of what the risks may be may have a great part to play in your success.
Keshav, I'm getting in on the same question. How have you experienced on your end with some of the challenges that you might have faced when going into newer markets?
The challenges are actually many. The challenges are all about, you know, nationalist fervor taking, you know, gaining ground in many countries. There is protectionist themes which are impacting visas and things like that that you're seeing all the time. The one thing that gives us a lot of comfort is the fact that we have been able to convince our clients and CEOs that we as a company and we as an industry are the best prepared to be an extension of their enterprise, because while they are having to manage all of this, they should never forget that the only reason the shareholders and their boards put them there is because they are supposed to drive better revenues as well as higher profitability and create higher sustainability for their companies, irrespective of what the environment brings to them. And that is where they do extremely well by partnering with great companies like WNS. So from our perspective, all of this, you know, while started off as a worrying trend, has actually become one of the biggest opportunities of our industry that is driving growth for us.
So Rajat, with IT, how are you seeing that making a huge impact on businesses here?
We all live technology every day of our lives, the way that we buy, the way that we use our banking services, the way that we you know, operate our communications, the way that we talk to our people across the world. I mean, the whole globalization piece could not have moved without technology moving. In some ways, technology has been the precursor to globalization. And I think the speed at which it is moving is, I mean, I dread to think of what, I shouldn't say dread, you know, I can't really imagine what, say, even banking would be like 15, 20, or even 10 years later. And so just using the banking example, the way that certain types of technologies are moving and will change our ways, like blockchain, for instance, right? It's moving towards, we process about $500 billion of trade every year is at HSBC, right?
Wow.
And all of that, imagine the number of pieces of paper for all of that. I think in 10 years, all of this, you know, may not be there. It's massive.
So Keshav, your thoughts on this, and importantly, the way ahead, are you seeing any company wanting to go global, having to be a technology company, so to say, besides being whatever else manufacturing product or service that they do?
I think today every business in the world is now a tech business. You know, they may go with a different definition of who they are, but an insurance business is now a technology business. A banking business is all about tech. So I think the biggest thing that is, you know, happening is the fact that one has to get extremely comfortable with technology. One has to, you know, not keep fighting technology, but appreciate and understand that technology is there. It will keep changing. The important thing is we as a company, we as an industry have to keep investing in some of these things, partnering the right stakeholders. And I think as long as we keep making that effort, and as long as we keep recognizing this, India will continue to be one of the biggest hubs for creating leadership for companies globally. And every company in India that is worth its weight in gold today appreciates and understands that.
Rajat, your view on the globalization part, wherein internationally, wherever companies are going, they might not have stable governments. What's the guidance that you give to companies?
Having a strong government and having a strong reputation in the international community plays a big part in formulating policies and how other countries treat you. And I think India is at a stage where it is important for the rest of the world.
Yes.
Across sectors, IT definitely, but you can take several other sectors and you will get exactly the same resounding answer for India. So I think the fact that we have a stable, strong government and following on fairly important policies, some of these policies take a long time to set in and to really start making a difference. And I think this is that period of time where we'll see India's stature go up quite significantly.
There is a lot of talk of trade war, and there are a lot of companies who are, might just be caught in the crossfire out of, they're just standing and then suddenly all these regulations come in. How should these companies be protecting themselves, or rather, softening the blow?
See, Sumit, I think there will definitely be a blow for a lot of companies who get caught right in the middle of this. But equally, like Keshav was mentioning, this could be an opportunity for other countries, for other companies and other countries in the same segment. So, whilst you have supply chains of, say, the telecom industry or textiles in China, for instance, they could move to other countries in Asia Pacific, perhaps even India. So what could be a threat for certain companies may be an opportunity for other countries. As a sum total, trade wars are not going to be good for the economy. So I certainly don't support, it will drag down growth globally and therefore have an impact on India. But can India benefit in certain sectors and in certain areas? I think the answer is yes. As far as company and advice to companies is concerned, I think it's pretty clear that you got to de-risk your model in terms of supply chains, in terms of customers. And what we will see through this process is supply chains moving countries.
Yes. Right.
And I think you can actually, if you look over the next 12, 18 months, you will probably be visually able to graph that out over the course of this time.
Keshav, at WNS, how are you preparing for this volatility that, well, could come, could not come? How are you preparing for that?
So the first thing is we continuously have kept strengthening our sales engine. We believe that the market penetration for our services has still not happened. It's still under-penetrated.
Yes.
There are many companies that should be leveraging the model that have not done it. We believe if such a thing happens, they will now actually want to dip their toes in the model. The second area that we are focused a lot on is making sure that our global footprint is appropriate, right? Because a lot of them will start with a nearshore solution, right? They will not want to take it completely to a different country because they also have to manage those other threats of nationalism and protectionism and all of that. The third is we are investing in getting the right partnership programs in place. So whether it's a technology partner, whether it's a partner around some of the new age areas that we spoke about, that's the third. And the fourth is just making sure that every one of our employees is digital savvy.
Being an international bank, how are you seeing that as an important asset to any company, and how are you seeing that make an impact?
See, at a very obvious level, the advantage that an international setup or international bank brings is that you have the same platform and you have the same people to deal with. So Keshav's team would deal with our team here, and we'd be able to be the link between all of these countries. So that's the obvious advantage of having a network. We have a network of more than 50 countries which kind of maps to everything that you want to you want to cover, pretty much the whole world which Indian companies cover. But I think it goes beyond that. One of the things that I've encouraged over a very long period of time, especially when companies are new, you don't really know what to do. So one of the most important things that I think a bank can play and should play is to make the connections.
Yes.
And to give that informal advice. So I think one of the things that we've really encouraged for Indian companies, look, talk to us and help us get you to talk to people in Germany, in France, in the US and UK. And what I find is that very few companies use this, and most people in other countries and our colleagues in other countries are very happy to give that advice, because they have a prospective client, and frankly, people want to help.
Rajat, as we wind up the episode, just your thoughts on India confidence. What's the world looking like towards India? What's India looking outward? What are your thoughts?
So we, as HSBC, we did a survey called the Trade Navigator Survey, where we spoke to 8,000 companies across the world. And what was remarkable was the difference in one or two questions, the result of one or two questions between Indian companies and companies overseas. So when they were asked about confidence in the world economy and the growth of the world economy, Indian companies expressed optimism almost 95–96% of the time, about 20% more than the rest of the world. When they asked about confidence in the Indian economy and the growth prospects of the Indian economy and the general ecosystem, again we were 20% higher. So I mean, I do believe that India is at a unique inflection point, and a period of growth that is probably, the compounding effect of that growth and globalization is a very fundamental part of that growth, I think is here for the next 10–15 years.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Rajat. Thank you so much, Keshav, for talking to me and for giving in those valuable insights. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sumit. Thank you.
Any Indian mid-sized enterprise that is looking to make a mark for itself on the global map needs to understand all aspects of globalization. And so, here's a quick recap of this episode of A Step Ahead. Organizations looking to set up business overseas need a framework of plans and goals to guide them. Compliance, legal, and a rigorous regulatory framework becomes the cornerstone for organizations. Navigating various local, federal, and national legal and compliance frameworks can be challenging while based in the home market. Timely communication is key, and having the right tools in place for cross-border collaboration is critical. Well, that's all on this episode of A Step Ahead, an initiative by HSBC India Commercial Banking and ET Now. But we'll be back next time with another mid-sized enterprise that is making a mark for itself in its sector. Thanks so much for watching.